The longest silence hides the deadliest rage, and the final judgment is always written by the victim.
My name is Maya Collins. Some mornings, life begins as insignificant, erasable, a tiny stain. Then suddenly it spreads. You try to wipe it away, but it spreads further, contaminating everything. That morning, Boston was rainy. The gray light coming through the window made everything look dull. Ethan was standing by the coffee machine, waiting for his personal barista, the machine, to prepare his coffee. He adjusted his tie while swiping on his phone with one hand. I sat at the far end of the table, watching him. Lately, watching him was like watching a foreign TV series in a language I didn't understand. There was a face, a body, but I couldn't understand any of the moments, any of the feelings, any of the words. "I'm leaving early today," he said. There was nothing in his voice, no guilt, no excitement. "A meeting?" I asked. Without looking away for a second, he nodded as if to confirm. "Yes, business related to New York." I was almost certain he was lying, but I didn't know for sure. That's what drives you crazy, not knowing. Just then his phone rang. After the notification came in, Ethan reflexively turned his phone around and read the message. A faint smile appeared on his face. "Who wrote it?" I asked, trying to appear calm. Ethan paused for a moment. "No one. Work." When he said no one, I knew someone was involved, because a man's face only shows that expression in two situations, when he wins or when he's getting close to someone. After Ethan left the house, I stood in the kitchen for a long time. I thought while I waited. As I thought, the ticking of the clock echoed in my head like a metronome. My inner voice said, "Don't worry." Then I realized I was lying to myself. I was his wife. I could tell if someone was carrying stress or a secret. I took time off work at noon and returned home with a strange feeling, as if there was an answer waiting for me at home or something that would destroy me. When I opened the door, the living room was silent. Everything was in its place, but there was something strange about the silence, like a funeral. My phone vibrated. A message had come from an unknown number. Curious, I opened it. The message read, "Maya, I didn't want to do this, but you left me no choice. It's over. Pack your things. My lawyer will contact you. Ethan." My body went cold. Our marriage had ended with a text message. I had spent years with him, the man I had promised to be with in sickness and in health, for better or for worse, had done this to me with a text message. My fingers went numb. I stared blankly at the message screen. Then, as if someone had poured ice water on my head, I came to my senses. I called him immediately. It didn't even ring. It went straight to voicemail. I called again. Same thing. I could feel my pulse racing. My breath was shortening. I was experiencing every emotion: anger, fear, shame. Then another message came. "Please don't call me. I know everything." I know everything? What did he know? Had I done something? This sentence showed me one thing. He was preparing to make me look guilty about something. At that moment, the fragility inside me gave way to something else. A sharp pain rose in the center of my chest. Slowly, it turned into an icy darkness. This wasn't a breakup. It was part of a plan. Ethan wasn't just leaving me. He was preparing to destroy me. I went upstairs. I opened the door to our bedroom. One side of the wardrobe was almost empty. Ethan's suits were gone. His shoes were gone. The drawers empty. He was gone. Quietly, without a trace. But he had forgotten one thing: me. That night, I sat on the bedroom floor and thought for hours. I didn't cry. Crying would have been Ethan's scene. I wasn't going to give him that. I turned on the computer. I checked our bank accounts. At that moment, everything became clear. Our joint account was almost empty. $86,243 was gone. Ethan hadn't just left me. He had taken our money. In fact, I won't sugarcoat it. He had stolen my money. I picked up my phone. I was about to call my lawyer when I stopped. Lawyer meant rules. Rules meant court. Court meant time. And time meant Ethan would have time to escape. I couldn't do that. In this story, time shouldn't work in his favor. It had to work in mine. At that moment, I remembered the message Ethan had sent that morning, his smile, his mention of business. I had to pursue that business. And I would make him pay for that message he sent me, with a single message of my own. But my message wouldn't be about separation. It would bring downfall. Ethan's departure didn't hurt. What really hurt was that everything was planned. It might be normal for a man to lose his love overnight, but to leave without a trace, take almost all the money, and then make you look like the guilty one? That's a declaration of war. It was almost morning, and I still couldn't sleep. I opened my laptop in front of the window facing Boston's wet streets. I tried to access Ethan's email account. He had changed his password, but it was a classic one. He always used the same pattern for his passwords. I got in on the third try. What I saw in his inbox made my hair stand on end. Evidence package attached. Maya Collins. From Harper & Lane Legal Services. There were photos in the email. Blurry, but convincing enough. One of me talking to a man in a hotel lobby. The next photo supposedly showed me with the man in a hallway. In the photo right after that, I appeared to be smiling, but I remembered those moments. It was a business meeting. He was a consultant I had spoken to at a finance seminar in Cambridge months earlier. His name was Daniel Ross. And the framing of the images was such that it looked like there was a secret relationship. That's what Ethan meant when he said, "I know everything." He was going to cast me in the role of the cheating woman. So, he would justify himself and gain the upper hand in the divorce case, appear to deserve the money, and make me look small in everyone's eyes. A strange feeling formed in my stomach. It was as if I had been punched. Then this feeling gave way to an icy calm, because I was sure. Ethan wasn't alone. He couldn't have prepared this on his own. The photos were too professional for Ethan. Even the law firm was ready. The accounts had been emptied beforehand. This was an operation. The last line at the bottom of the email caught my attention. As discussed, the connection in New York has been confirmed. The transfer is complete. New York. The New York-related business he mentioned that morning. My eyes narrowed. I grabbed my phone and called Daniel Ross. He didn't answer. I sent a message. "This is Maya Collins. Call me right now." He called back minutes later. "Maya, is everything okay?" The ease in his voice unsettled me. "Daniel," I said, "do you remember the Cambridge seminar?" "Of course." "Were photos taken that day?" He paused for a moment. "Well, yes. Someone said it was for an event." There it was. I turned to Daniel and said, "I think someone's plotting against me." The moment I said it, everything became official. There was no turning back now. Daniel's voice slowed. "Who would want that?" he said. When I said Ethan, a heavy silence fell. And in that silence, I made my decision. I was going to finish Ethan off. But not in court. First, I would find his New York connection. Then, I would wrap that connection's noose around his neck. Ethan's New York connection. It seemed like a minor detail in the sentence, but I had worked in the world of strategy for years. I knew that minor details could send people to their graves. That single line in the email was the code to Ethan's escape plan. First, I shut off my emotions. Crying, whining, asking why, all of these would make Ethan see me as weak. But I wasn't weak anymore. I was not a deceived woman. I was a hunter, calculating the price of deception. I couldn't stay in Boston, because Boston was where Ethan had left me. The same streets, the same people, the same whispers of shame. No. This game would now be played in another city. And in Ethan's language, the name of that city was clear. New York. When I landed at JFK Airport 2 days later, I felt a strange calm inside. The city's buzz, the honking horns, and the fast-walking people drew me in. Here, no one knew anyone. Revenge was easier in this anonymity. First, I didn't get a hotel. I rented a small Airbnb, Lower East Side. The curtains were thin, the walls old, but the view was real. That was fitting for this city, because the only thing that wasn't real in New York was human relationships. I opened my laptop and researched Harper & Lane Legal Services. It wasn't a Boston-based firm. Its headquarters were worse than I had imagined. They were in Manhattan. Ethan wasn't working with a divorce lawyer. Ethan was working with a crisis team. When I visited the firm's website, another tab caught my eye besides family law. Reputation management. That's when I felt a knot untangle. Ethan didn't just want to win in court, he was trying to destroy me socially, to tarnish my name, ruin my career, leave me with no one around me. In short, he wanted to isolate me. Because a lonely woman is easy prey. But he overlooked one thing. I wasn't alone. I had my anger. When channeled correctly, anger is the best fuel. When I looked at Harper & Lane's connections, one name stood out. Sienna Blake. The firm listed her as a senior consultant, but her LinkedIn history told a different story. Sienna had worked at big firms like Vernon and Blythe Consulting years ago, then became a freelance strategist. So in a way, she was like me. The fact that Ethan was getting support from a woman didn't hurt me. It made me even angrier. Because this woman could have taken my place. Worse, Ethan was using her like a weapon. I went to Manhattan to track her down. Near Bryant Park, I found a small piece of information that Sienna got coffee at the same time every afternoon at a cafe. That kind of information is bought with money. So I bought it. At 12:30, the cafe was packed. In New York, everyone is rushing somewhere, some to gain something, others to avoid losing it. My eyes were searching for one person. And I saw her. Sienna Blake. With her short blonde hair, sharp jawline, and an expensive but understated jacket, it was clear she wasn't an employee. She was a player in the game. Silencing the voice inside me, I approached her. "Miss Blake?" I said. She looked up. Her eyes scanned me. "Yes," she said. "I'm Maya Collins," I said. She flinched slightly. So she knew me. At least she'd seen my file. "Should I know you?" she asked. I smiled calmly and unsettlingly. "You work with my husband, so yes, you should know me," I said. At that moment, she went on the defensive. "I can't discuss my clients," she said. "Of course," I said. "Then let's discuss money." That word opens the same door everywhere in the world. Sienna's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me?" I took an envelope out of my bag. Inside was not cash, but a business card. Maya Collins, Strategic Risk Consultant. I know what Ethan is planning, but what he doesn't know is that I have plans too. Sienna paused for a moment, then she spoke in a low voice. "Ethan told me you were unstable," she said. That was how Ethan saw me and described me. An unstable woman. I approached Sienna. "Do I look unstable to you?" I asked. At that moment, I saw genuine doubt in Sienna's eyes, because the woman in front of her was me. I wasn't crying, I wasn't yelling, I wasn't begging, and I wasn't angry at her. He looked away from me for a moment. "Look," he said, "your husband is in big trouble. That's all I can say." My heart raced. "Who does he have a problem with?" I asked. I didn't think he would tell me, but the words that came out of his mouth were, "Victor Lang." I made a mental note of that name, because now there was a new character in the story. And what Ethan feared might not be me. It could be Victor Lang. "Who is Victor Lang?" I asked. Sienna stood up. She grabbed her bag. Her voice was ice cold as she approached me. "If you're smart enough, you'll stop digging," she said. What she said as she passed me made my hair stand on end. "New York doesn't forgive. Ethan isn't your biggest enemy," she said, and left. At that moment, I understood that Ethan owed someone, and either I would pay the price for that debt, or Ethan would pay with his own blood. The moment Victor Lang's name came out of Sienna's mouth, I felt like all the oxygen had been sucked out of the air. There are certain names in New York. People don't say them out loud. Because when those names are heard, it's not just ears that change, but destinies too. It was past midnight when I got home. The small apartment in the Lower East Side was quiet, but my mind was a battlefield. I turned on my computer and searched for Victor Lang. The results were ordinary. A few companies, a few charity events, a few superficial news stories. It was as if the man had been deliberately left clean on the internet. But I don't believe in the internet. I believe in the traces. I went back into Ethan's inbox. This time I typed a single word into the search bar. Lang. And a series of emails popped up. Subject line, Payback Protocol. My heart sank. When I opened the email, I saw a short, terrifyingly clear message. "If you don't pay by Friday, your wife will be taken hostage. VL." I read the sentence over and over. Hostage, price, sacrifice. At that moment, I realized Ethan hadn't left me. Ethan had sold me. Something snapped inside me then, but not like a heartbreaking. It was more like a system shutting down. Human compassion shutting down. I grabbed my coat and went outside. The rain that evening seemed to be beating down on New York. I hailed a taxi and gave it a single address: Harper and Lane. Going to a law office at midnight seems crazy. But some things are solved not with madness, but with determination. When I entered the building, security tried to stop me. I pulled a small card out of my bag. It had only one name on it: Ethan Collins. I lied to security, saying he was expecting me. He let me in without ever calling Ethan. I was lucky. The elevator took me to the 17th floor. I stepped into a long, dark hallway. In that darkness, the light from an office illuminated the area. I knocked on the door. It didn't open. I knocked again, insistently, and it opened. Sienna was looking at me, squinting her eyes. She said, "You're crazy." "No," I said. "I just have to know." I pushed the door open and went inside. Sienna's face hardened. "You have to leave," she said. "Victor Lang sees me as collateral," I said. "Ethan has accepted this, and you're part of this file too," I said. Sienna's skin paled, as if all the blood had drained from her. For a moment, the mask she wore on her face seemed to slip. "What are you talking about?" she said. "Your client," I said. "Put it in writing." Sienna slumped into her chair. This was the first time she had ever been afraid, and fear brings a person closer to the truth. "Ethan left you to cover his debt," she said. "Victor Lang doesn't just want money, he wants loyalty, and Ethan turned loyalty into money." I swallowed. My voice didn't tremble. "So what am I?" I asked. Sienna looked into my eyes. "A distraction." So that was the plan. When Ethan couldn't get the money to Victor, he changed his target. He would throw me out there and run. The law firm, the fake adultery evidence, the divorce message, it all served the same purpose: to leave me alone and defenseless. But men like Victor Lang don't like defenseless people. They use them. Sienna pulled a business card from the desk drawer and handed it to me. "Noah Pierce, Private Security and Crisis Intervention." "You can't get close to Victor Lang," she said. "But Noah can. He's ex-NYPD. He knows where the dirt flows in this city." I took the card. My fingers were so steady I surprised myself. "Thank you," I said. Sienna looked away. "I'm not doing this out of kindness. If Victor targets you, we all go down." When I stepped out of the office, the rain was hitting my face, but I wasn't getting wet anymore. The fire inside me was the kind that even water couldn't extinguish. I called Noah Pierce early in the morning. My voice carried no emotion. "My name is Maya Collins," I said. "I want you to find a man for me." Noah's voice was harsh. "Who?" "Ethan Collins." There was a brief silence. Then Noah said one thing. "Send me everything." I had ruined Victor Lang's game, because I copied the payback protocol file from Ethan's email and sent it to Noah. That file wouldn't just save me. That file would finish Ethan. 2 days later, my phone rang. Ethan, who hadn't answered when I called, was now calling me of his own accord. I answered. "Maya, please, I can explain," he said. I was pleased, because that sentence was my final music. "No, Ethan, there are no explanations in this story," I said. "Victor Lang is going to kill me," he whispered. "I know, and I won't feel sorry about it," I said. There was silence, so quiet that I could hear the heartbeat on the other end of the phone. And I added, "You left me with a message. I finished you off with a file." I hung up the phone. That same night, I walked on the Brooklyn Bridge. The city lights were reflecting on the water. People think New York is powerful, but New York is only ruthless. The powerful are those who survive ruthlessness. Ethan wouldn't survive, because now the game was in my hands. And this time, I wouldn't trust anyone, especially not my husband.